The U.S. Federal Reserve has signaled that it's going to raise interest rates one more time this year, according to the central bank's projection. But so same kind of discussion we're having, just in a different market. Can the banks manage another interest rate hike once again?
So it's really from the investor perspective. What the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is saying basically is, look here, inflation is still elevated. And because of that, he will need, through the FOMC committee, they will need to raise interest rates one more time this year. It's coming. The thing is, though, economic growth is still strong. They improved the GDP forecast, meaning then they expect the US economy to continue growing. Unemployment will continue to fall, but inflation is still there. And especially what we're seeing now with gas prices creeping in, and that's a major driver of inflation. We still have elevated levels, and the target for inflation in the US is 2%. We are not near 2%, not likely to be near 2% until probably late 2024 or even later than that. So the news around this upcoming rate hike has sent stocks much lower in the US. September traditionally is a very bad month for stocks in the US, and it's playing into that. And the news from the Fed certainly didn't help in terms of the sentiment around stocks. So they say trouble yard, trouble abroad. It's there.
As America sneeze, we catch cold.
Huh?
As America sneeze, we catch cold.
Right. So the impacts then to Jamaica would be what we want to look at in terms of what's that going to do from an exchange rate perspective? Will that roll into interest rates here going high as well? Because the inflation overseas will flow locally as well. So something to watch for. I don't anticipate we may see the same thing coming in Jamaica, where we're going to get higher interest rates. Don't see that happening. The Fed did mention challenges for banks within the US, but they didn't stress a lot around the nature of the challenges, just that, banks continue to be stressed because we have tight financial conditions in the US. So similar challenges being faced there in terms of banks being under a certain amount of stress. But the main thing as investors we're feeling is that the prices are falling. It can create, buying opportunities for some persons who think more long-term. They'll use this as a buying opportunity. But for others who are in short-term trades, it's definitely very challenging for them.
Yeah, so which brings me to, because we're now talking about a difficult economic environment now, and this to continue and possibly even get worse. Yeah. I want to ask both of you, what should investors be doing with their money now? Starting with you, David.
So, after my end of quarter trade this Friday, I'm just going to be holding cash and looking at opportunities as they come. And, I'm going to be very careful about, what some would say as opportunities, because they might buy a position and it's a falling knife, meaning that as they get in, it continues to go lower. And as you potentially say you're going to average down, it continues to go lower. So right now, in the Jamaican market, I'm more focused on being heavily careful with liquidity, because anytime a position could open up, you don't want to be tied up in other stocks. And when you're trying to exit, you're going to take severe losses, or, your 100% unrealized gain turns into a 20% realized gain just because there's not much buyers, for that particular stock. In the US market, however, up there, it's actually fun. So Keisha highlighted that, we would have seen the declining prices of September. Last year, I was making money, with puts. And, that's just, what I'm looking forward to, in a sense, the expansion of the ways that money can be made on the JSE. Because I could have, shorted a stock. I took my option instead of using puts, as Meta went down, I made money on it. I made my up again, bought a put, cash came back down, made money on it again. So, right now it's if you're in Jamaica, be very careful with liquidity, and, just ensure that you understand that, hey, if I'm buying a stock, if there's an emergency comes up tomorrow, will I have to exit this position? And if I do have to exit, what potential loss am I looking at if there's not many buyers in the queue? In the US markets, just look and see, where deals might exist, because one thing about the US market, it's very dynamic. So you have trends where in a particular period, the prices fall, and as you're seeing potentially a short squeeze or some other event, prices drive back pretty fast, and that's your potential chance to make some very good gains.
So David says hold cash. Keisha, what do you say?
From a long-term perspective, the markets will always go back to the fundamentals. And so in times like these, when, stress, worry, panic, fear are becoming the order of the day, usually go back to the fundamentals. Look at those companies that, they stand the test of time. They've been around forever and ever, solid, strong companies, and look for potential opportunities to load up on those. That's my personal philosophy. That's what I've been doing for years, and it works. I'm always just been long-term, and that's what I look at. Not swayed by the noise, but now is the time you look for those companies and take these opportunities to load into them. But load into the right type. You have to look for strong fundamentals. In the short term, there's always opportunity to do what David's saying, put options and so on. The US, other leverage trades on the US. In Jamaica, it's more or less hold some cash and wait to buy. That's really what it would be.
And just to remind you viewers, this is not intended as financial advice. This is the opinion of David and Keisha and what they personally are doing right now.
Right. We never tell you if we're going to do it. We're saying we do it. Right.
Your strategy could differ based on what your goals are. And I'm glad that Keisha pointed out, she takes a long-term view. But you can have, plays for the short term as well.